This is Tasha Cran.
I found out that my daughter had been murdered a month after she died.
At the age of 19, she had a baby, and the baby had a thyroidal condition that required a very expensive and specific type of medication. Tasha left Washington State because of an abusive relationship she was in, and she traveled to Oregon in order to try to obtain medical insurance for her child so that she could get that vitally needed medicine. Instead, the state of Oregon, CPS, charged her with medical neglect when she asked for that help and took her child from her. Tasha was told that her daughter would be placed either with the foster parents, who Tasha knew loved the little girl and would take care of her, or with her aunt in Washington State, who had a licensed medical foster home, and Tasha was quite comfortable with that. Instead, unbeknownst to her, the little girl was sent to live with an aunt and uncle of the abusive father in Mexico.
I was born and raised in the United States. My daughter was born here in Hillsboro, Oregon at Tuolumne Valley Hospital. I honestly didn't think it was possible for them to deport a U.S. citizen. The original story was that my daughter had died of asthma.
She's got a periorbital, which means around the eyes. That was purposeful. Somebody had hit that. A child to get bruises around the kidneys, somebody had to hit her. On the abdomen, somebody had to hit her. Lacerations to the kidneys, somebody had to hit her. Violent force trauma. It shows no self-defensive wounds, which means, you know, the girl has been used to this for a while, so she just allowed it to occur.
When I went to Mexico after 3 years of not knowing, no closure, because it allowed my daughter to be buried in foreign soil, I went there to see if it was even my kid. But when he tried to get her coffin out, and he kept hitting her against the rocks, the bricks, I told him she'd taken enough abuse in life, and I went in after her, and I handed her out. I finally got to hold my daughter again. I laid there with her for 5 minutes and asked her to forgive me for trusting the system to do right by her.
For Danielle Kelly, the living hell she was forced to endure is almost unimaginable.
Well, you got a cerebral palsy child here who looks like she's around 10 or 12 years old. And cerebral palsy kids, which I treat a lot of, they're the happiest freaking kids in the world. Cerebral palsy kids love to hug, love to be touched, love to be kissed. Though you may not want me to say this, I'm going to say it, which is going to sound really nasty coming from a physician speaking to normal people. This looks like roadkill.
Doctors have described to us that for Danielle, her last few months of life must have been like laying on shards of glass. If you are squeamish about such matters, you might want to turn away for the next 5 seconds.
It looks like even parts of clothing or sheets from the bed are interwoven in this muscle and skin, and the ulcerations are all the way through the skin completely, some of it down to the internal organs, all of them down to the bone. The heels are eroded, the backs of the calves, the buttocks, the coccyx, the tailbone, the lumbar spine, the thoracic spine, all the way up to the cervical spine and the back of the head. And I can't see any muscle integrity at all in this child. The nerves over there are still alive. Feeding her would have been impossible. Cleaning this at this point, say even a month before, this child would not have survived.
Someone needs to speak for Danielle.